In the quiet hum of a peaceful morning on Earth, a young boy named Riku sketched dreams in the dirt. His small fingers traced the outline of magnificent spaceships, destined for galaxies far beyond the familiar blue sky. He imagined soaring through asteroid belts and discovering new worlds, a universe of adventure waiting just for him. But adventure often arrives in unexpected ways. Suddenly, a strange shadow fell over his playground. It wasn't a cloud. It was immense, circular, and silent, a dark omen blotting out the sun. Frieza's ship had descended, its metallic hull a cold, stark contrast to the vibrant green of the field. The silence was shattered. Hatches hissed open, and soldiers, clad in sleek, intimidating armor, poured out. They didn't speak, they acted. Energy blasts erupted from their gauntlets, splintering ancient trees and sending terrified animals scattering in every direction. The idyllic scene turned into a battlefield in an instant. Riku, paralyzed by fear for a moment, finally broke into a desperate run. His small legs pumped as fast as they could, but the chaos was all around him. He dodged left and right, but he was just a child against a legion. Energy beams crisscrossed the ground, hurting him, cornering him until there was nowhere left to run. He stumbled, his heart pounding against his ribs like a trapped bird. And then a brilliant tractor-like beam of light enveloped him. His feet left the ground and he was lifted helplessly into the air, his shouts for help swallowed by the vast, uncaring sky as he was pulled into the belly of the alien vessel. Inside the ship, the air was cold and sterile. Riku shivered not just from the chill, but from the terrifying presence that now stood before him. It was Frieza. A cruel, knowing smile played on the tyrant's lips as he studied the boy. This child's energy ... interesting. The voice was smooth, like polished ice, but carried a threat that was unmistakable. Frieza saw not a child, but a curiosity, a flicker of potential he might snuff out or exploit. Riku, small and trembling, could only whimper, "I want to go home." His plea echoed off the cold metal walls of his prison, a lonely cry in the heart of darkness. But his cry, faint as it was, traveled farther than he could ever imagine. Miles and light years away, on the tiny planet of King Kai, Son Goku's training came to an abrupt halt. He stood perfectly still, his head tilted, a look of intense concentration on his face. A whisper of energy, a faint, desperate signal from a human life force, had reached him across the cosmos. It was weak, but filled with a pure, untainted fear. "That's no ordinary child," Goku murmured, his usually cheerful demeanor replaced by a grim seriousness. And that feeling, that dark energy around him, "It's Frieza." There was no hesitation. The decision was made in a heartbeat. Frieza must be stopped. Placing 2 fingers to his forehead, Goku focused his own energy, locking onto the faint signal. In a flash of swirling light and a distinct pop, he vanished. He reappeared in the silent, star-dusted void of space, a lone figure standing defiant before the monstrous warship. His energy blazed around him, a beacon of hope against the encroaching darkness. Goku's voice boomed through the vacuum of space, a telepathic command that rocked the ship's command bridge. "Let the boy go, Frieza." Inside, Frieza turned from his monitor, an expression of bored annoyance on his face. A low, condescending laugh escaped his lips. "You again? How tedious. Must you always interfere with my affairs, you meddlesome Saiyan?" Without another word, Goku charged. He became a blur of orange and blue, closing the distance in an instant. Bright blue ki blasts erupted from his palms, impacting the ship's hull and exploding across the void in silent, brilliant bursts of light. An army of soldiers swarmed out to meet him, a futile attempt to halt the unstoppable force of a determined hero. From inside his transparent cell, Riku watched, his fear momentarily forgotten and replaced by sheer awe. Through the glass window, he saw a lone warrior taking on hundreds of soldiers. He saw impossibly fast movements, explosions of color, and a courage that seemed to set the very stars ablaze. His eyes, wide and shining, tracked Goku's every move. This wasn't a dream from his dirt drawings. This was real. Back outside, the battle raged. Frieza, enraged by his soldiers' incompetence and Goku's persistence, let out a furious roar. His body contorted and grew, muscles bulging as he transformed into his larger, more menacing second form. "You can't win, Saiyan!" he bellowed, his power level skyrocketing. He unleashed a massive, devastating energy beam, a wave of purple destruction aimed directly at Goku. Goku met the blast head-on. He crossed his arms, planting his feet in the empty space as he struggled to push back against the overwhelming force. His muscles strained, veins popping on his forehead as he poured every ounce of his strength into holding the line. He was at his limit. Seeing his hero in peril, a new feeling surged through Riku. Not fear, but a desperate need to help. His small hands balled into fists, and with a cry of frustration, he slammed them against the control panel of his cell. Sparks flew, alarms blared, and with a hiss, the cell door slid open. He didn't hesitate. Riku bolted into the corridors, a tiny figure navigating a maze of metallic hallways, dodging the frantic movements of soldiers who were too preoccupied with the main battle to notice him. But Frieza had noticed Goku's struggle. Seizing the opportunity, he fired another, faster beam, a deadly, precise shot that struck Goku hard, sending him spiraling backward. "Goku!" Riku screamed, his voice filled with anguish. As the name left his lips, something deep inside him broke free. A hidden dormant power he never knew he possessed surged to the surface, enveloping him in a soft, protective glow. Miles away, reeling from the blow, Goku felt it. A new pure energy connecting with his own, Riku's power. It was like a fresh wellspring in a barren desert. With a renewed sense of purpose, Goku channeled it, synchronizing his energy waves with the boy's. The power flooded through him, healing him, strengthening him. He let out a mighty roar as his hair flashed from black to brilliant gold. A golden aura flared to life around him, pushing back the darkness. He had become a Super Saiyan. The final clash was inevitable. Goku, now radiating immense power, and Frieza, consumed by his own narcissistic rage, launched towards each other. Time seemed to slow as they met in the middle, a collision of gold and purple, good and evil. A silent, blinding explosion of light filled the screen, eclipsing the stars themselves. Then silence. The great ship trembled violently, groaning under the strain of the cataclysmic energy release. In the eerie quiet that followed, Frieza's form, broken and defeated, fell away from the light, tumbling silently into the infinite darkness of space. It was over. Goku, breathing heavily, immediately searched for the boy. He found Riku floating in a damaged zero-gravity corridor, the small, glowing aura around him fading as he drifted unconscious. A warm smile touched Goku's lips. He gently scooped the boy into his arms and held him close, just in time. The ship's core went critical, and with a final, massive detonation, Frieza's vessel was consumed by a ball of fire. But they were already gone, vanishing in another flash of instant transmission, leaving only empty space behind. Riku awoke to the gentle sound of waves and the warmth of the sun on his face. He was on a sandy beach, safe, cradled in Goku's strong arms. "Kakarot, what took you so long?" A gruff, familiar voice grumbled. Vegeta stood nearby, arms crossed, a smirk playing on his lips. Goku just laughed, a hearty, relieved sound. A moment later, Bulma arrived in a capsule corp ship, rushing over with a scanner. She gave Riku a quick check. "He's fine," she announced, looking at her device with a puzzled expression. "Perfectly healthy. He has a really strong energy signature, though." Riku looked up at the man who had saved him, his eyes filled with adoration. "I want to be strong like you, Goku," he said, his voice small but determined. Goku smiled down at him, a kind and genuine expression. "You already are, kid," he replied softly. Reaching into his pocket, Goku pulled out a small keychain, a perfect miniature replica of the 4-star Dragon Ball. "Here," he said, placing it in Riku's hand. "Whenever you need me, just hold on to this. I'll know." The day drew to a close. With a final wave, Goku leaped into the air, flying away into the golden sunset. Riku stood on the beach, clutching the small gift, and watched until his hero was just a tiny speck in the sky. He whispered to the wind, a promise and a thank you. "Thank you, my friend,